Welcome to Corky Carroll Surf Camp. I'm Corky Carroll, and I'm here to talk to you about learning how to surf the fast, fun, safe way. What we want is for you to have a good time and learn to surf. So I'm going to talk to you about selecting the right board for you depending upon your size and ability. I'm going to talk to you about what beach to go to. You don't want to go to the wrong ones, the locals will pound you into the ground. We want to talk to you about catching waves, paddling, standing up, and turning. What I want you to do is surf, have fun, and do it easy. Because easy is good, and good's good, and I want you to be good. Hey, let's go surfing. Hey, you know, when you're learning to surf, one of the most important things is knowing what kind of board to get. When you go in a surf shop, you could get anything. You could get a pig, or even livestock off the rack. You never know what they're going to give you. They're just going to try to unload what they got. It's important that you get with somebody that knows what they're talking about, somebody with some experience, because they'll tell you you need a nice, big, soft, floating board, because the more stable it is, the easier it is. And as I always said, the easier it is, the easier it is. And easy's good, hard's bad. We want to learn to surf fast. We want to learn to surf easy. We don't want to struggle for years and years and years sunk up to our eyeballs in the water. So a nice, round, floaty board. And as far as the fins go, it really doesn't matter as long as it has one. One fin, two fins, three fins. It doesn't matter. When you're learning to surf, you won't be able to tell the difference. Three fins are not like training wheels. If you're a little teeny dude like this guy right here, you're probably going to want to get something maybe around 7 foot, 7'2". Nice, round, not pointed, soft rail board. A little bit bigger guy, you get a little bit bigger board here, around 8 foot. Bigger dude, you get a bigger board, around 9 foot. You get a 450-pound rhino guy, you're going to want the Lure-line, as big a thing as you can get, because stable is better, flotation is better, easier is better. We want to learn to surf fast, we want to learn to surf easy, so we get an easy surfboard. Selecting the right beach to go to is going to have a lot to do with your overall enjoyment and surfing experience. You want to go somewhere that's going to be nice and easy to ride, preferably with a sandy beach and a sandy bottom. Not somewhere that's got a whole bunch of gnarly rocks, boulders, and especially sharp coral reefs. You want it to be safe. Somewhere where the waves break out far, roll gently a long way, and are going to be easy to ride. San Onofre in Southern California is good. Bolsa Chica, any place on the East Coast, and ideally Waikiki is the best place to learn to surf. What you want to stay away from are places where there's a lot of hot surfers and gnarly shore breaks. Gnarly shore breaks, they're going to break your neck, they're going to break your board. Not good. Places with a lot of hot surfers, they're going to break your board and break your neck and kick your butt. You don't want that to happen. You want to go to a nice, safe, learning beach. Somewhere where there's not a whole lot of people to run you over and for you to run over. You want it to be easy. So remember my 3 magical words. Easy is good. A couple of things you got to be aware of are winds and tides. If the wind's blowing, the surface of the water is going to be choppy, making it very difficult to surf. If there's no wind, it's going to be glassy, smooth. Early in the morning, late afternoon, generally there's less wind. Smoother is better. Better, easier. So don't go when the wind's blowing like a hurricane. Wait until the wind goes down. The tide makes a major difference in the waves. You don't want a big nasty shore break. You want the waves breaking out far and rolling in long and gently. At most beaches, a high tide creates a shore break. Some it's different. But what you want is you want nice smooth waves. So pay attention to the tide and pay attention to the wind. Also, don't stick yourself right in front of where everybody else is surfing. They're going to run you over. 9 times out of 10, they're not any better than you. They don't know what they're doing. They're going to run you down. Move to the side where there's not so many people surfing. It's better, it's safer, it's easier. And easier is good. Now here's the perfect condition. Uncrowded, like nobody. Beautiful glassy waves, smooth condition. A perfect day to learn to surf. Nice and mellow. Now here's a blown out day, not looking too good, too choppy. And definitely not for beginners, the Bonsai Pipeline. These waves are so gnarly and so nasty, when you're not paying attention, they'll come up and spit right in your face. You don't want a high tide shore break. And you definitely don't want to mess around where it's too crowded. You'll get run down. Here at Corky Carroll Surf School, the most important thing that we can stress is safety. We don't want you getting hurt. We want you to learn to surf fast, safe, and easy. So there's a few things you need to know before you go on the water. First of all, the ocean has a lot of power. It's got way more power than you. So you don't want to fight it. You want to flow along with it. Never try to force the issue. The waves have more power than you do. You're gonna fall off. It's a fact. You're not just gonna go out there and be a champ the first time you go out. And when you fall off, you gotta be aware. There's a surfboard lurking around your vicinity. It's gonna be there. Don't come leaping up out of the water and see where it is. Because 9 times out of 10, it's gonna be right above your head. It's gonna come down, bang. It's gonna split your skull. It's gonna be a bad thing. You don't want to have that happen. What you want is you want to be aware. You want to come up with your hand first. Always protect your head. When you fall off, stay under the water for a few seconds. Let everything calm down. Come up, hand or hands first. Don't come leaping out of the water looking for your board. There's other guys out there. They can run you over. Don't put yourself in harm's way. Be aware that their boards are there, your boards are there. Don't let any of that happen. Be aware. Pay attention. It's really critical. One of the most common blunders we see down here at the surf camp are people going into the water and getting hit with waves sideways. It's really critical that you always have your board pointed into the wave, either the nose in or the tail in. Never get hit by a wave sideways in the water. If you're walking out and you got your board sideways and the waves come along, it's going to hit your board, knock it into you, probably hit you under the chin, knock all your teeth out, leave you unconscious, and you're going to drown. It's a bad thing to have happen. Always go nose in or tail in. Never ever sideways. Remember that. Never get caught sideways. This is a surf leash. This goes on the tail of your board and around your foot. What this does, it keeps your board from going all the way to the beach when you fall off. This is very good because a lot of times there's rocks and stuff on the beach the board can hit and get damaged. Also, your board can hit other people on the way in. So this is a very good tool. It makes it safer. It keeps your board by you so you don't have to swim a long way to get it. But there's a few little hazards you got to remember about these things. When you get them, they always come rolled up and you got to untangle them. And generally there's kinks in them from being rolled up. So what you got to do is you got to straighten them out. You have one end of your friend, like my partner Brian here, you hold the other end and you pull it as tight as you can and hold it for a minute or two. This will straighten out the kinks in it. When you get it back, it's going to be nice and straight, because when it has kinks in it, it's going to wrap around your feet and you're going to trip on it when you're surfing. You don't want that to have happen. Also, when you're not surfing, most people wrap their leashes around the tail of the board. This also creates kinks. So you got to straighten it out every time before you go in the water so there's no kinks in the leash. This is really important. Also, never ever run with your board under your arm and the leash on your foot. Guaranteed 9 times out of 10, you're going to trip over the leash, fall on your face, you're going to impale a bunch of shells into your face. It's going to be a bad situation. Never run with your leash on. Not good. Always walk. Straighten it out before you go in the water and you'll have more fun and you'll be safer. It will be easier, and easy is good. Don't run, dude, you'll trip. Sideways, not good. Now here's the way to enter the water. Nice, straight, smooth, relaxed. Straight out through the surf. Not sideways. Here's an example of what not to do when you fall off. Notice no hands over the head. Here's one of our instructors demonstrating the right way. Hands over the head. And here's Brian, one of our students, obviously showing that he's learned the right way to come up. Safe. When you're on your way out to surf or you're going to catch a wave, it's critical that you paddle laying in a position which is going to put the board in what we call maximum trim. That is, so it moves through the water the most cleanest and effortlessly. Best is about, so the nose is an inch or two out of the water and the rest of the board is flush along the water. This makes it move the fastest and cleanest through the water. If you're not in the right position, bad things can happen. If you're too far back on the board, the tail of the board is probably going to hit you in the hips or legs. It's going to hurt. But worse than that is, the nose is going to lift way up out of the water. The bottom of the board is going to push water, slowing you down. You're never going to catch any waves. You're never going to get anywhere. Being too far up on the front is even worse because really bad things can happen to you. Generally, the nose will go under the water, causing you to fall off the front. The board will go flying up in the air and it can come down and hit you. That's why you should always come up with your hand first, cover your head, and always make sure you don't get hit with the board. So don't get too far on the front. It's very, very bad. So what we want is we want you laying pretty close to the middle of the board, nose barely out of the water so the board's in trim, keeping your head up so you can see where you're going, because you don't want to put your head down and close your eyes. You might paddle right into the mouth of a huge whale and never be seen again. Pay attention to where you're going. It's easier, and easy is good. Now this Seymour is obviously clueless, way too far back on the back of his board. No trim whatsoever. Of course, then when he goes to take off on a wave, he's way too far up. Nose over the nose. Definitely not good. Now this guy is doing what we call the spider technique. All of his arms and legs are all going in different speeds and different directions at once. Definitely not coordinated and not conducive to a smooth paddle out. If you get sideways, you're generally going to get trashed by the set. Now here's an example of one of our instructors paddling directly out through the surf, directly through the whitewater, breaking through wave after wave, and getting out without any problem whatsoever. This is the professional way to do it. Even the smallest kid, if he knows what he's doing and doesn't get intimidated, can break out through any kind of condition if he uses the proper technique. Not getting intimidated, right back on his board, moving directly out through the surf, breaking through wave after wave, no problem. Little kid, big board, no sweat. If you know what you're doing, you can blast through any wave, paddle directly to the lineup, and you're out there. Smooth sailing. The most difficult part of learning to surf is actually learning to stand up. This is the hardest thing you're going to have to do. So what we want is we want it to be one smooth, effortless motion, not a whole lot of individual jerky motions. Because the longer you're doing this, the more at jeopardy you are. The more the board can tip, the wave can change. One smooth motion. So Justin here is going to demonstrate how to do it. And he's paddling for a wave. As he stands up, he brings up one foot slowly underneath him so his knee is right below his chest. Stands up in one fluid motion with his hands out for balance. One smooth fluid motion. Let's do it again. Here we go. Paddling for the wave. Arches his back. Lifts himself up. Knee comes up underneath him. Both feet are on the board. Not knees. And he's up. Knees bent, arms out. It's a real good idea to practice standing up on the beach or home on the floor, or on top of your bed, wherever, so you develop some muscle memory. Because what we want to develop is one smooth, easy motion. Matt, let's see how you're doing. Okay, now what Matt just did here is he jumped up real fast. Now generally what happens when you do that, as soon as you get up, you're off balance and you fall right off. What we want is a nice, smooth, easy motion. Let me see. Okay, this is much better. The only problem with this was his back foot was so far back when he got up that he's going to do the splits, right? And probably his weight's going to be too far back. Let's slide up again. Okay, stand up. This is much better. Feet are in perfect position, good trim. A little quickly, but not bad. He's leaning awfully far forward. The nose is probably going to go under. Going to be straight up and down, knees bent, arms out. Okay, let's see how you're doing. Paddle, lift up, slide up. That's very good, although the back foot is still awfully far back. You want to bring it up a little bit further up here. Okay, one more time. Up. Very good, very good. Arms out. Okay, Brian, let's see how you're doing. Okay, up. Now that's a little quick. Let's try it again a little smoother. Okay, bring the front foot up. Okay, a little better. It's still a little quick, but much better. Let's take one more look at Justin, our instructor here, and you'll notice how smooth and effortless it is. One smooth, easy motion. Very fluid, very functional. This is what we want, standing up, because it's easier. And easier is good. Now let's take a look at the perfect stand-up in slow motion. The back arching, the arms lifting the trunk of the body directly over the board, weight centered, front knee driving up under the chest, both feet firmly on the board, weight directly over the center of the board, not forward or back. Standing directly up, not leaning left or right, weight centered, unweighting, body position directly centered over the board. A perfect takeoff. Let's take a look at one of our students. You notice the back not quite arched. Back toe on the board, front foot sliding up a little bit awkward, not quite centered, back knee almost touching, and as he stands up, all his weight is on his front foot. You'll see he's only touching the board with his toes on his back foot. Too much weight forward. He's probably going to fall forward. Here's another example of a stand-up a little bit awkward, not quite much back arch. And as she stands up, her weight is leaning a little bit off to the left there. She's probably going to fall off backwards here. If she doesn't, her weight is still too far forward, as you can tell by her back foot leaning over on its side. Now adjusting. This one's a little better, good back arch. Feet coming forward underneath him, knee driving underneath the chest. Both feet planting on the board, pretty good. The only problem here is the weight is still leaning a little bit too much forward. Once again, he's probably going to fall forward. Notice his back kind of hunched over, leaning forward. What we want to see is the weight directly centered over the board, everything uniform, not to the left or the right, directly standing up. Here's Brian with a very good example. He's up, going, styling. Here's an example of how not to do it. Front foot up, back knee on. This is a classic example of what happens in many cases with beginners. One knee on the board. What happens is all your weight gets transferred forward, and as you stand up, you fall forward, executing what we classically call a wipeout. This is how it's done. Just feel what's going on with the board, how your weight is affecting it, and how it feels riding through the water. And don't forget to pull out before you hit the beach. Here's a nice example of a very good takeoff by a beginning surfer. Looking very good until he runs over a barracuda in the lineup. Ow! What you don't want to do is get to your knees when you're standing up. Stand directly up without your knees. And of course, it's always good to take enough paddles to catch the wave before you stand up. Once you paddle outside of the surf line and you're getting ready to catch your first wave before it's broken, you're going to sit on your board and you're going to wait for a set of waves to come. Now, sitting on your board may be a little bit of a challenge for the first time. You're going to put your legs around the board and sit straight up on your board in the middle of the board so that the nose isn't sticking real high or the tail isn't sticking high out of the water, as flush as possible. You may fall off a couple times while you're getting used to it. Don't let that worry you. After you've got sitting there all down nice and stable, you're going to want to practice turning your board around a few times, because when a wave comes, you're going to be able to want to turn around and paddle for it. So in order to turn your board around, you want to slide a little bit to the back of the board, lifting the nose of the board out of the water, and with your legs and your hands, turn your board around so you go in the other direction. Now practice that a few times because it's a little trickier than it sounds. You can also use the turning around motion to get more momentum to catch the wave. In other words, you sink the tail of the board, you turn it around in the direction you want to go, the tail's still sunk, and as you slide up on the board to paddle, the board will actually lay down in the water, find trim, and start moving forward on its own, giving you a little bit extra momentum to catch the wave. Now remember, you've got to pay attention to the direction the wave is coming from and move with the wave. So when you see the wave coming, it isn't going to be going straight. It's either going to be going this way or that way. You have to determine which way is the open shoulder. In other words, where the wave has the best shape. And that's the way you want to go. Generally speaking, if the wave is coming from, let's say, the south, it's going to be moving towards the beach in a direction like this, beach, wave. Okay, so the wave is probably going to go to your left. That's the way you want to go. You want to move with the wave as you're paddling for it to the left. If it's the other direction, you want to move in that direction. Look where you're going. Look at the wave. Don't just paddle straight towards the beach, because the wave will go by you if that happens. Pay attention. The more you pay attention, the easier it is. Easy is good. Okay, so now you're standing up and catching waves. You're ready to learn how to turn and do some maneuvers. Let me give you a brief description on how to initiate a turn. I'm standing on the board, I'm going down the wave. To initiate a turn, we want to use weighting and unweighting. And what I mean by that is we sink down on the board, we weight the board. We use our body weight to actually weight the board. When we lift up, we unweight it. When we sink down and weight it, we cause water to be deflected off the bottom of the board by the natural rocker in the board. As we unweight, it frees the board up and allows it to trim freely on the water. So to initiate what we call a front side turn, and this is in the direction in which we stand. I stand right foot forward, so I want to turn that direction. We call it to my left. Okay? What I want to do is I want to sink down, causing the water to start deflecting. I want to turn my front shoulder in the direction I'm going to go, making the board bank off the bottom of the wave, deflecting water. And then as I straighten up and unweight, it allows the board to complete the turn underneath me and regain its trim speed, allowing it to move fluidly down the line. In order to turn in the other direction, which we call backside, in other words, to my right, where my back is, I initiate the turn by sinking down, weighting the board, causing the water to deflect, bringing my back shoulder around to the front, lifting up, letting the board regain trim underneath me and move fluidly down the line to my right. So let's review this a little bit. Weight, unweight, allows the board to deflect and move freely. Turn the front shoulder to go front side as we wait. Stand up, unweighting at the end, completing the turn. To go back side, same thing. We sink down, weighting the board, water deflects. We bring the back shoulder around, causing the board to bank off of the water. We regain our trim by unweighting, standing up, and moving fluidly down the line. You don't use the sides of the board as much as you use the bottom of the board, because it's all based on weighting, unweighting, trimming, and deflecting. This is the easy way to do it. And easy is good. Now let's examine closely how weighting and unweighting affects the turning of the board. Watch the weight sink and the board start to bank. As he comes out of the turn, his board lifts up and accelerates. Shifting my weight forward, I'm able to anticipate the upcoming section. Letting the board trim, getting as much speed as possible. Let the board bank, don't force it. Watch here how Justin connects his turns together, linking them one to the other. And it's always a good idea when you're out in a crowd not to get too hostile. Just let the guy in front of you have his way. You'll get by him. No problem. Okay, it looks like we've done it. We've learned to surf. And hopefully we've come through virtually unscathed. Let's take a little look back and see what we've gone through so that you can apply this to your own personal experiences. First of all, we've picked the right board. No matter how big you are, you want to have a big board. Smaller you are, smaller the board, yet still a big, nice round one. No pointed, thin, narrow, unfloaty boards where you're up to here in the water and can't see. Nice big floaty board. Next of all, we went to the right beach. A nice sandy beach where there's a lot of room and not a whole lot of people. Not one of those places where there's a lot of screaming locals and they're going to flatten your tires and break your windows and kick your butt. A nice beach where there's only beginners and people that aren't hostile, and there's a lot of nice, smooth, gentle waves. Waikiki, San Onofre, Bolsa Chica, somewhere like that. Next of all, we've concentrated on safety. We come up with our hand over our head when we fall off. We're aware there's a surfboard around us at all times. We try not to put ourselves in front of other people because they're going to run us over. We pay attention to what's going on. We don't lose our concentration and come leaping up out of the water and get hit by our board. Okay? Next of all, we've learned how to paddle out and how to stand up. We always paddle out going straight out or straight in. We never let the wave hit us sideways. This goes for whether you're paddling, sitting on your board, or just walking with your board. Never sideways, always straight out or straight in. Okay, we've caught our first waves in the whitewater. We've stood up in one smooth, easy motion, bringing our knee up underneath our chest and standing up without putting our knees on the board at all. Laying down to feet in one smooth, easy motion. Knees bent, arms out. Okay? Then we've gone outside, we've learned how to sit on our board, turn it around a bunch of different times, gain a little bit of momentum from turning the board around to catch the waves. We pay attention to where the waves are coming from, what they look like, and what direction we want to go in. We move with the wave in whatever direction it's going. Always remembering the ocean has more power than us and we must flow with it. So we want to move with the wave, we want to flow with the water, we don't want to fight it. Okay? We've done that, and we've learned how to do some maneuvers. We've learned how to turn. We've learned about weighting and unweighting. We've learned about trim and untrim, sinking, banking, and changing direction. Pretty much you've gone from not knowing anything to actually being an intermediate surfer with this video. So I hope that you can put it to your own personal use, get a lot out of it, and come down to Corky Carroll Surf Camp where we can teach you how to be an expert in hardly any time at all. This is Corky Carroll saying, Cowabunga.
Hey mama, if any of the guys on the baseball team ever call me on the phone to ask me to play in an important game, we'll say the captain ain't at home. Tell him I'm surfing. Tell him I'm surfing. I'll be gone for days, I'll be riding the waves, I'm going surfing. And if that pretty little girl from across the street who's been bothering me for days to go swimming in the pool, well the pool's real cool, but it hasn't got 10-foot waves. Tell her I'm surfing. Tell her I'm surfing. Yeah, if she wants my company, I'll be out of wind.